Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you guys my Game Week 7 transfer plans, and as usual we'll quickly go through how I did in Game Week 6 before we jump into that. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please do drop a like, please do subscribe as well. And let's start off with my Game Week 6 score, and it was absolutely disastrous. Everything that could have gone wrong for my team went wrong. I don't even know where to begin, and I guess let's start off with captaincy. So triple captain was a huge talking point going into Game Week 6. A lot of people were kind of 50-50. I mean, there were some people who were quite adamant on it. I think obviously with Game Week 6 now, I guess, drawing to a close, there's still the Everton versus West Ham game. But I think looking at Haaland's score, it's safe to say that triple captainers have won. And it's simply because Haaland walked away with 16 points. Granted that it was in the last few minutes of the game. But I mean, this is just FPL, right? And kudos to those of you guys who triple captain Haaland. I wish I did, but I didn't. And I'm only sitting on 32 points for the Haaland captaincy. In hindsight, I think looking back now, obviously at the Game Week 6 results as well, of how Man City destroyed Burnley and how Leeds as well as Sunderland did really, really well. In hindsight, it seems as if triple captain was such an easy decision. But really, leading up to Game Week 6, I just felt as if I preferred the Leeds game or the Sunderland game for Haaland. So I guess that is still, the plan. But hopefully he does well enough in those games to match this 16-pointer. We'll see what happens, but this was a missed opportunity for my team. Aside from that, every other result that went wrong, that could have gone wrong for my team went wrong. So I guess right after the Manchester City game, there was the Tottenham versus Wolves game. In that game, firstly, Porro didn't start. And then obviously, Wolves scored against Spurs. And Spurs only came back at the last minute with a goal to draw the game. And all my triple Spurs players pretty much blanked, right? 1 for Porro, 2 for Van der Ven. And my punt for 2 weeks, which is GW7, only got 17 minutes, which is what I expected. But I did expect Spurs to score a little bit more goals against Wolves. So 1 pointer for him, not ideal. And then after that, next day comes around, Ollie Watkins scores. I mean, Morgan Rogers also returns, right? But Aston Villa win Fulham 3-1, their first win of the season. And obviously, when everybody have sold Watkins, that's when he returns. So I sold Watkins myself in place of Haaland. And yeah, I mean, 8 points for Watkins, so already not great. And then that also wipes out the Fulham clean sheets because Anderson here only got 3 points, but he did walk away with DEFCON points, so it's pretty good. And then obviously the Arsenal game where I don't have any Arsenal players, it was going pretty well, 1-0 for Newcastle. And then obviously Arsenal turned it around, and Gabriel, which all the Game Week 6 wildcarders brought into their teams, had. And yeah, 13 points for Gabriel. So honestly, that kind of caused my rank to drop quite a bit. So I'm now at 1.1 million. And in terms of my own team, right, 1 point for Sanchez, not great. My triple Spurs, as I mentioned, not doing too well. Anderson, 3-pointer. Fernandes missing the penalty, a -1. Reinders blanking. Semenyo, 7-pointer is probably the only saving grace, but everyone has Semenyo. Then up front, Mateta and João Pedro both blanked. In fact, Mateta did have lots of big chances in the Liverpool game. He could have walked away with 2 goals and 1 assist, but yeah, it is what it is. Very, very fine lines in FPL, and yeah, he blanks as well. And then to make things worse, Ismail Assar is on the bench with an 11-pointer because he obviously came back from injury and scored against Liverpool. So Game Week 6 was what I guess you could call a disaster game week. And let's see whether we can bounce back from this. I did feel a little bit dejected going into the last few games of Game Week 6. So I'm glad that I took some time off as well. But I kind of processed a bit of my thoughts, and I also do realize that my position right now is that I still have quite a number of chips left to play for the first half of the season, that is. I still have my bench boost, I still have my wild card, I still have my triple captain. So I have all 3 of these chips yet to be used. There's plenty of time to still make up for rank, and obviously very early on in the season, FPL is a marathon after all, so I feel like maybe I'm talking myself into a bit of a pep talk. But yeah, we'll press on and let's see how I'm going to tackle Game Week 7. So this is how my team is looking for game week 7, and I have 2.1 million in the bank as well as one free transfer. The plan for my team is still to wildcard in game week 8. So really looking at game week 7 right now, it's about 1 week punts for me, and there's nowhere else to look right now other than Arsenal players. It's very, very clear for me that this week I am bringing in an Arsenal player, but I think there's a few options for me, given that I do have quite a bit in the bank. So I think one of the moves that I planned for game week 7 or even penciled in early on was to take João Pedro out when he has Liverpool here in game week 7. Take him out for Gyökeres. I mean, in fact, João Pedro hasn't been playing very well. His data also hasn't been very good. So I could bring Gyökeres in, but Gyökeres also hasn't been looking very, very sharp. I mean, against Newcastle, he did have a couple of good chances. There were some bright sparks from him, but honestly, at this point, I'm still not 100% convinced by Gyökeres. Now, he could go on and prove me completely wrong in this West Ham game. But yeah, Gyökeres here is one option I could go for, right? And obviously selling João Pedro then. This would leave me 0.7 million in the bank, and obviously in game week 8, I would be wildcarding. So no point looking too far ahead. And if I don't make this move, then another option that's open to me is actually going for Gabriel. Now, when I look at Gabriel here, I think he'll obviously come in for Murillo here so that I have a bit of bench cover. If I bring Gabriel in, maybe I bench Pedro Porro because he got benched in game week 6. We'll see what happens in terms of the starting 11 setup. But if I do bring Gabriel in, the real thinking here is because I do think Gabriel will rise in price very soon. And already I've lost out quite a bit of team value against the game week 6 wildcarders because everyone kind of brought those template players in. Gabriel is definitely one of them. A lot of Arsenal players are part of the game week 6 template. They have since risen in price. They're going to rise again leading up to game week 7, and only after game week 7 can I activate my wildcard. And I will definitely activate my wildcard immediately after game week 7. But really looking at kind of the team value, I may be suffering quite a bit here. So if I go for Gabriel early, I at least save a bit of money as opposed to waiting further on and letting him rise in price and have to buy him for a little bit more expensive. So Gabriel, also another option I could go for. I'm not really considering moves like Bruno Fernandes or Saka, for example, simply because I think Bruno Fernandes still has this Sunderland fixture, even though right now, I think a lot of people will be selling Bruno Fernandes in a heartbeat if, they're kind of looking for replacements. So I do think, like, in terms of my own transfer plans, it's pretty straightforward. Do I bring Gabriel in here for Murillo, or do I sell João Pedro and go for Gyökeres? So I think looking at the way that I can set up my team if I bring Gabriel in, then I think one of the options open to me is if Xavi Simons does not look like he's going to start against Leeds, which was already something I was considering. I could obviously do Ismail Assar in for Xavi Simons, but João Pedro has Liverpool, not great. So I think if Xavi Simons does look likely to play against Leeds, if midweek he doesn't get that many minutes in the Champions League, then I could obviously play him instead of João Pedro, and then João Pedro drops to the bench against Liverpool. Not something that I'm super uncomfortable with. I'm actually okay with benching João Pedro this week. So Gabriel in here allows for this kind of a 3-5-2 setup. Now, if I go back to, having Murillo here and not actually moving for Gabriel, then Pedro Porro comes in here, and then I would likely have Gyökeres in for João Pedro, in which case then it's a decision whether I choose to bench Ismail Assar or Xavi Simons. Really depends on Xavi Simons' minutes in the midweek in the Champions League. But if not, I think overall this team is still strong enough. I mean, double Spurs against Leeds is not super ideal. I mean, initially leading up to this fixture, I was like, this is a great fixture. But now Leeds are actually looking pretty good as well. So maybe I don't really fancy that too much, but at least on paper it looks alright. And then I think in terms of keeper, I could start Dubravka ahead of Sanchez. So really right now I'm looking at different permutations, and there's the Gabriel move, there's the Gyökeres move. Right now both of them aren't necessarily going to rise in price over the next few days. So I think I can have a bit more time to think about it and also look at my Spurs players in the Champions League and see what happens. Also the other teams involved in Europe as well. See what happens, and then closer to the Game Week 7 deadline, I'll make a decision. But if not, once the Game Week 7 deadline comes around, after the Game Week 7 deadline, I cannot wait to wildcard and bring some of these players in and sell Bruno Fernandes, of course. So there we go for my Game Week 7 transfer plans. If you're in my spot, let me know what move you prefer. Should I go for the Gabriel move or should I go for the Gyökeres move? You've seen the kind of variations of how my team would look like depending on those moves. So let me know in the comments down below your preference. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe as well. And I will catch you guys in more Game Week 7 content coming very, very soon. Bye-bye.